I prefer the chair. Oh,
Talk to the interruption, it is Gretchen Joy's front of park,
Yeah,
so she'll be
Ah,
ASAP.
sure, we can also pause for a little bit.
yeah, I figured it would take a minute.
Maybe so, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's.
We're gonna get going in just a few minutes. We're just waiting for some more folks to, folks in the parking lot.
Got here, get chair. Bye.
See you later.
And we may have to start just a minute or two late. What the heck is going on over here?
Yeah,
They're
I was one.
coming up afterwards.
getting way free money.
They're coming up here afterwards. These are, they're going to start meeting.
All the people are to oppose your project, the former.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Or in favor.
Bringing out both credits.
Twice as many of them last time.
I think that there's also the open house at school. So,
Yeah, so it starts at 7.
6 and 7. A lot of that.
Back forward. Bye.
7 later.
10 minutes for sure.
Place back.
Oh, I know.
She's here. That was fast.
Yeah,
Really?
somebody pulled out.
Yeah. I think I probably made somebody mad. There's his own spot in my little mini. All right,
Just have a little go kart, huh?
yeah. Are we still, Mike still live and
I think
everything?
we're good. Are you ready or?
Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. Now call to order the meeting of the Newburyport Historical Commission on Thursdays, September 25th, 2025. This meeting is being held at the Senior Center and via Zoom. Please note this meeting, as with all city meetings, is being recorded. I'll start the roll call. Andrew Bernhardt,
I'm here.
Mark Sandrone, Scott Clark.
Here.
Have to think about it. Chris Fay,
Here.
Alan Marquis,
Here.
Ed Neumer. See. Glenn Richards
Yeah.
and Chris Sartell.
Here.
And the chair, myself, Biff Mouse, is here. We have a quorum, also present, Andy Port from the planning department and Gretchen Joy taking notes for us. Our first matter of business is the continuation of the demolition delay at 13 Union Street. That's like that, yeah, find a spot up here. And I know not all of us were here for the last meeting, but we did vote that the what was our last vote? Let's see. Oh, that it was preferably preserved. So it placed the house under 1-year demo delay. They've come back with some proposed plans and take it away. Name and address for the record.
Chair, members of the board, my name is Sean Mendes, and the owner of Handy and Some. We are a remodeling design build company. And we've been hired by Kieran and Jane Cullen to do a 2nd-story addition at 13 Beacon Street. Last time we were here, the board implemented the demo delay. We're here tonight to ask that that be lifted based on some changes that we've made per the board's recommendations. Those changes were fairly simple, and they would be adding a window to, next slide, please. To the rear side of the shed dormer, and also adding some trim to kind of define the existing, where the addition would actually be from the existing home. One of the changes that we did make, one of the board members had brought up a point to a door that went to nowhere, which was outside of, excuse me, the porch of the balcony. The purpose of that was to maximize glass. They have a nice view, unobstructed to the river. So we were hoping to maximize the glass in the back of the house. Excuse me. And one of the board members brought up that it might be a safety issue. They have 3 very young children that are a little bit rambunctious. And although the door is stationary and tempered glass, someone with a running start could actually go through it. So at the homeowner's request, they asked me to change that door to a window. So other than that, those are all the changes that we've made. Again, per the board's recommendations last time we were here. So we would ask that with these changes that you would approve this design.
Okay, thanks. Excuse me, thanks. Anyone have any comments about the changes?
Well, first, just a clarification. I thought I heard you say a window, you added a window, but it looks like there are two. Is it one or two?
We removed the door panel. We had originally had one window in that dormer
Oh,
on
I
the
see.
backside of that. And you had asked to add
Oh,
an
okay.
additional
Oh, I
window.
see, I see.
The window that we would be adding is actually in placement of the door panel on the gable end of the back of the house, just outside of that balcony area.
And are I had mentioned that, they're part of the kind of guidance is that like if you're flush with the top, that should be back was it 3 feet from the walls and 18 inches from the recess from the sidewalls. I don't have that in front of me,
Yep, so
but did
there's-
you move any of the?
We didn't make any changes
Okay.
to the shed dormer gable is stepped back from the exterior gable by 18 inches. And I know the board has follows the recommendations set by the Cambridge zoning board,
Right,
historical board rather. Going the 30 inches, which is what is recommended from that board, really would take away from the square footage that they have, given the slope of the roof. So we tried to get as much as we could and still give them the square footage that they need. Because really the purpose of this is to get them an additional bedroom. Right now, there's only 2, which they're sharing with 3 children. This would become their master bedroom. So taking another 1.5 feet from that would really make a difference, especially because there's a bathroom up there as well.
any other comments, questions you guys have?
Well, yeah, I've got just a comment. First of all, I think that it's an improvement, especially the rear, substituting the window for the door, I think it's an improvement. The window dormers, windows in the dormer is an improvement. The trim, I appreciate that, you're trying to take our feedback on that. Especially where it goes, it's also on the dormer, it's kind of architecturally a little odd. I guess I was expecting just one straight trim board at that spot, like to
Carrying all the
indicate
way
that
through.
that kind of would have been the corner board back when type of thing. But I'd like to hear from my colleagues if they have any other thoughts on that.
Sorry, for a meeting like this, is that referring to?
Yeah.
Or also, you mean also continuing up into through that?
That seems architecturally kind of illogical to me.
I would definitely agree with that. I misunderstood you. I thought we were trying to just define where the house
Oh, I
ended
see.
to where the addition
I
began.
see.
Well,
That is kind of the point, but
Doesn't look good on the
not
door.
including the dormer, anyway.
yeah, I mean, I think it's, I get your intention, but I think really the idea is to visually separate them, and that's like the most the like literal translation of it.
Sure.
I don't know, I think if it was either like some sort of either physical setback or a differentiation in material with still having some sort of corner board defined, I think that might help, but I don't think it's completely appropriate, although I have seen some historical homes that have, I'm trying to think, in Strawberry Bank, there's a home that shows they left it kind of as a historical note, all the different eaves that it had. So that there's maybe some precedent to it, but I don't know if that's the right application. My opinion, but yes.
My only input is I was not here at the last meeting, and when I saw this, I was like, what is that trim? And it seemed like a clinker note to me.
Mm.
And in light of the fact that it's a small house, I don't think I would advocate for like creating a setback or a, you know, a break in the whole thing. Is it needed at all?
Well, the
be
idea,
honest.
the idea is that any addition to the historic structure should be secondary
Yeah.
in size and in general should set back somewhat.
And be identifiable as not original in some way, but yeah, I hear you.
Well, it's
And
just-
I'm having second thoughts about that trim board
In light
myself.
of the fact that it's a pretty small house, you
Yeah.
know, that seems to bear on it.
Through the chair, just
Yes,
question for clarification, would you could just get, and I apologize, I don't recall if I had. Is this portion here on the existing, is that historical, or is that a later addition, and we're talking about the front portion being historic, the sort of,
well, yeah, I don't know that we've defined that,
okay,
I don't know if we even have maps that show.
okay. I asked, okay, sorry, yeah, I
Yeah,
asked only
no,
because
it's a good point.
I wasn't sure whether with one suggestion, whether the suggestion was maybe something like this, in lieu of this line and maybe the one on the dormer. I got the impression from Glenn.
Yeah, that was what I thought, that was what I had in mind, but again, you know, as Scott is saying, it's like, I'm having, because of the size and everything else. It might be that it's just gonna look goofy or
Yeah.
something, and. So I don't know, but I'd like to hear from my
Well,
colleagues,
especially if we don't know what the actual
yeah.
original structure was, you're gonna define something that actually was not part of the entirety.
Yeah.
To me, it would make sense, but. Personally, I don't think it would be something that's. Be.
Yeah.
Needing to add any real benefit, considering just that we just don't know what we're finding.
Chris, I know 'cause you weren't here for the first thing, so I'm curious as your impressions of seeing this is not. This is kind of more as your first impression, what your thoughts are.
Well, I think it's established how I feel about the dormers, so. That would be my,
Yeah,
if I had been here, or I'm here now, that would be my. I'm a no-go on the dormers. I understand the practicality. Just replay the tape if you wanted to, but it is, I don't know, man, it's just. We're gonna be known as Dormer City, not the Clipper City at some point, because.
Yeah,
But what about that part of the defining the structure roots from board?
Those, honestly,
Yeah. Sure.
those are minutia to me.
Right.
The structure of the house is changing, so how you delineate, like what the I can't even see that far. It really doesn't matter to me. Window treatments don't matter to me, it's the structure, so. It's really an ongoing tug between what people have said to me is a need for a modern house versus the integrity of the house. And I know this isn't across the street. So I was like, oh, man, we're across the street again? No. So it's not as bad as what I witnessed a month ago, but yeah, I would keep making that case that dormers. If dormers were supposed to be on this type of house, then they would have been put on in the beginning.
yeah,
So,
yeah, and I do think that for me, if we're going to add dormers, then it needs to fit, you know, as close as possible to what the Cambridge, you know, what their recommendations are, as far as like the setbacks and, roof angle and all that stuff, and this still isn't really there, as far as what they would recommend. I mean, it's even with the added window, which I think helps. I mean, it's odd, it's asymmetrical, having the skylights in the dormers isn't advisable either. I mean, I would prefer to see, you know, a nice symmetrical 3 windows in the front of that and no skylight. I don't know if that's possible or whatever, but I think something like that would be more at least appropriate. just kind of to follow the guidelines of if you are gonna add a dormer, but I mean, I agree, I think if, if we can avoid poking holes in historic roofs, we should probably do that. Any other comment, suggestion?
Am I allowed to make any comments, or are you allowed to do that?
I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, if you wanna come up and.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just give your name and address for the record as well. too.
Yeah, sure. Jane Cullen, from Union Street.
Thank you.
So I feel like I started to do research on historical homes because I've been trying to, educate ourselves about this. And I think one of the things of that sidewalk Victorian cottage is that it is asymmetrical. Like the house is quite asymmetrical in a lot of ways as it stands. There was an addition done to the house, so we've been there 11 years, a little prior to us. And the whole back side of the house right now is like casement crank windows, like Anderson crank windows. So when I look around our neighborhood and historic homes, I think that the backside of this house to me looks much more in line with a historical home than the current backside of our house. And I think that's something we've tried to be thoughtful about.
No, I would agree. I think looking at it in its current state, I mean, the rear of the home the addition wasn't. It was a little unfortunate, I would say, in styling and, its treatment. So I think what you guys have done has been largely respectful to it. I think, but like for us, mostly it does come back to the dormers. I think that's the biggest thing. And I mean, for me, still, it's the idea is when you add on to it, it's supposed to be theoretically removable. If somebody wanted to come back and put it in place, I know that's not always ideal or something that can be followed through with, but that is one of the intents of what we're supposed to follow. So I think that's what we're still reacting to, or at least what I'm reacting to is the dormer is still not right as far as what would be considered, appropriate. And I'm not sure about the differentiation between the new and the old. But it's a tricky thing. It really is.
So one of the points that I made the last time I was here is I don't, Andrew, I don't know if you have presentation that I submitted.
Yeah.
I did actually show several homes on Union Street and Lincoln Street.
Are these the slide? You can tell me which slide.
Yes, yeah, so maybe that one right there, possibly. So I did take pictures, so the center picture is really very similar to what we're proposing. I don't know, obviously, when that addition was done, or if it's a new construction, but again, a 30-inch recommendation that you've kind of adopted really would take away the square footage necessary for the overall purpose of this addition, which is to get that bedroom, taking another foot and a half away. So we had not even gone back that far. We were hoping to have the shed actually go all the way to the exterior. So we have been making some changes, working with the planning department and implementing some of these things to the best that we can to meet those guidelines that you've adopted. But again, you can see that there are several homes within not just this street, and a couple streets over, that all have a very similar setback on their dormers.
Where's the middle? Is the middle picture, what's that address? Is that Lincoln Street?
That's Lincoln, that's the backside of Lincoln, so you can
Yeah.
actually see it from
I
there.
mean, Lincoln, I used to live in that neighborhood, and like Lincoln, most of the houses on Lincoln Street are very different than the houses on Union Street, right? You do a beautiful view of the water. That's across Water Street, right? Is that right on the water, the one on the right?
That's correct.
And we looked at that, was that the gun club at one point, Glenn, the hunting club or something,
Possibly.
hunt and fish? To me, and you're right, like, that exists. But that's, my proof is if you look at that house, practically, yeah, there's people up there sleeping, whatever, I can understand. It's not, it's weird looking, man, when you look at it, it's front wings and it's ready to fly, you know? So it's not architecturally appealing, and it's I don't know, this is the only thing I would say, Beth, is we've gone down this road and we've established a precedent in this commission. And then now, and I'm opposed to the dormers, but I also don't wanna pick and choose like winners and losers on the dormers, like this family can't have dormers, and clearly we must.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think the idea of a precedent, I think is strong, strong language. I think it's, we need to follow the guidelines, and as humans, we don't 100% follow those guidelines and allow stuff that would not meet the guidelines to go through.
But they're guidelines.
Right. That's the tough part.
That's the distinction in my book.
Well,
I mean, I gotta say, I hear this and it's like. Small house and 3 children, I don't, you know, the dormers are pushed toward the back of the house. It doesn't. You know, I know to me, it's like, it's not black, white, there's gray there too.
quick question I want to clarify something on on those elevations we're looking at. There was, in the existing, there's a chimney on that lower, upper right, is that chimney, was there, or is there also at present a chimney on the main?
There is a main chimney that
Okay.
will not be
I
disturbed.
seem to recall, yeah, from the last meeting, you said, yeah, it just wasn't on the drawing, but it's there and it's staying.
That's
Right,
correct.
okay,
But
but that chimney is gonna go away.
the lower chimney,
Right,
correct, yeah, it's not, it has on purpose.
You said it's not
At this point, they've changed out the heat, it used to
Yeah.
include their heating system and
Okay,
no longer does so.
I just wanted to, 'cause I remember discussion, just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
One other point I'd like to make is that, and I appreciate what you're saying, is that the whole city is gonna be dormers, but this is a home that's a story and a half. This home cannot evolve to any family, not just the Cullens, but any family without having some kind of expansion. The lot is oddly shaped. There's really no way for them to expand the footprint beyond what we've proposed. So really, the dormer is the only way, and 2 bedrooms and roughly 400 square feet of living space on the second floor is just. If it wasn't the Cullens coming to you, it would be somebody that owns this property that are just not able to evolve for a family.
Yeah, no, and I mean, when you put faces, it's more difficult,
Sure, of course.
but. I mean, I've been in town for 30 years. And. And this is not to make, the whole place is up for sale. It's up for rent, and I understand what your business is and what real estate agents, real estate lawyers, and everybody else, and this is kind of what I want to say tonight. Because I've been thinking about it for a few weeks now, and everything can't be a real estate deal. The whole country's a real estate deal. Part of my politics here, but we got a real estate guy in the White House who thinks he can run things. So everybody has a hand in this. We don't have a stake in this except for the House. That's all I have to say. We have a financial stake in it. We're teams. And at some point, this will get knocked down, this will get knocked down. And the city survived in some iteration or another for over 300 years. Not every house has been here for 300 years, but some of these houses have been here for hundreds of years. And people made it work. And it's not a personal thing with you folks. You're wonderful people, I'm sure. And you want to live here for various reasons and stuff like that. But I, for one, I'm troubled by the fact that everything is a real estate deal all of a sudden. Seems like it.
So to that point, wouldn't this make more sense that you are adapting to the family's needs as opposed to somebody coming in here and trying to overdevelop this to something that is, because it can't be anything other than what we proposed if they want to expand. So short of this, it's a husband and wife living in 800 square feet. I mean, that's what it is. It's not a family that has children. And that is most important here, is keeping their family in Newburyport. And again, to your point, it's probably not affordable for them to do a home of this size somewhere else. So this is really the only shot that they have to stay in Newburyport, keep their kids in the school they've been in for the last, 5 or 6 years. So.
I'm gonna say too, I think, to your point, Scott, I think it is guidelines, right? And I think each home is on its own, the placement in the lot is not also the same, right? Some of them in the back, some of them in the side, some of them over years, you know. I know the house has been built, you can't really see what they're doing, we did this on the Merrimack Street, they're building that couple of whole townhomes and stuff like that, right? We tweaked that because you can't really see certain things from the street, but they made the change to the dormers, because we weren't too thrilled with that from the street. But I think each house stands on its own individually, and to your point, guidelines. And I think we have to, I know the dormers are a struggle, because it does make a relatively economical add to a structure. And we're also trying to preserve these homes at the same time. I think once I think as a board, we probably need to vet out maybe a little more how we deal with this, because you're right, it comes up all the time. And it's a hard thing to, like, now we have to decide here, now what we're gonna do. And so the 18 to compare to 30 inches. Is it really, are we gonna start sticking to that guideline? If we are, then we have to be very consistent, and those dimensions, I believe, shouldn't change. Right?
Yeah.
If we're doing that and we stick to it, we have to stick to it, but if we're going to have some sort of leeway in there, which I think we personally think we should, the dormer's there, if we're gonna approve the dormer. Then is the 12 inches really that much of a, like, wow, that's really important? We're having struggled with the dormers, that dimension is, to me, it
Right.
doesn't seem like it's,
But,
and also it's an aesthetic.
yeah, well, I
It's
think,
just like, wow,
I think,
that's true, that's ridiculous.
I think to your point, it's that we need, the guidelines are there for us to figure out if we're in the ballpark of doing something appropriate.
Right,
And the wiggle room should be there depending on circumstances, which are numerous, right? I think the consensus is that this is better, but not perfect. And I do think that without sacrificing the living space that you're looking to add, which I think is totally relevant, and part of readapting a building is if you can keep people in it and keep it alive, that's the goal, right? So I think that, you know, I think not ever being able to put a dormer shouldn't be the case, but we do need to try to stick to the guidelines as best as we can, and where it's appropriate, you know, we can allow for it. But yeah, I do think that, you know, if we could see, especially with that, you know, we talked about that line dividing the old, if we could think of
That's an easy fix.
right, or if you could just think of a different way to differentiate it, or something to that effect. And
So would the board be open to using cedar shakes for the dormers as opposed to vertical collapse?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I was thinking more of just the differentiation of like the kind of original box versus what that wall is now being extended all the way across.
Excellent. Keep it consistent.
Yeah,
So the initial plan, really, when Collins first approached me on this, I honestly thought that from a historical standpoint, this was a pretty easy one. We're just gonna extend the main portion of the house to the outside wall and put some dormers to it. So I thought this was a relatively easy, not very impactful or abrasive design that really did fit in with the rest of the homes that are within this street, next street, couple streets. So that really was, and then it was working with the planning department that we kind of try to fine tune this. Originally, I didn't have the eave running in front of the dormers. I had the dormer right out to the front wall. I just went through this in Amesbury. It's a very similar project, and they had the same recommendations as to set it back so that it is defined, which I think that we've done all of those things that you've asked. And again, I understand your feeling on every house in Newburyport having dormers, but there's just no evolution for this house for a family, so. I mean, if the board feels as if this is not an appropriate. Change, then I don't see what this house could ever be for anybody. And I would think that as important as the historical preservation, keeping young families that can afford something in this town, to your point, is also just as important.
Sure.
Can someone refresh my memory, what, as we took up the setbacks according to those, Cambridge guidelines that were mentioned. So the setback of the window wall of the dormer, does anyone know exactly what that's supposed to be? Either from the edge of the eave or the wall below.
Sorry, say again,
What the setback is supposed to be for the window wall of the dormer from either the eve or
I think
the.
we're talking 3.5, if you're talking about the side,
Not the sides, the front.
I believe that's
The front.
18 inches.
18 inches
I believe
from
it's
the
18 inches.
edge of the eave or the wall below?
From the, I believe it's the eve line, is what it's referenced as, yeah.
Okay. And what do you have now from the edge of the, probably
18 inches.
from the,
It's actually more than, I think it's 22 exactly, because.
we're talking about the front now,
Correct.
where the windows are.
Yep.
That's 18 inches back from the eve.
I believe it's 22 inches, so they have oversized soffits and built out rakes, so we would just follow that line, but I believe it's 22 inches.
Just want to be,
It's definitely more than,
talking about the same spot. We're talking about the right side, or are we talking about?
No,
we're talking about
front,
front, so
the
where
front
the
I'm
eve
looking at,
carries
where
across
the
the
windows
window.
are.
That's the window side,
Okay,
parallel to the wall.
1 foot 6 inches, yeah, preferred.
From the eve or the wall below.
So Andrew, can you go to the
Setting the front wall and.
existing picture? Probably one of the first or second slides. Third
you mean
slide.
your presentation?
Yes, please. Back, next picture back.
From the wall below, not the.
These are all photos.
Yeah, photos of the existing house. Is there? Next maybe? Just want to demonstrate what the existing soffits are, so you can see that they do extend. This was just my rendering from,
Yeah, this is the presentation though. I don't know.
oh, there we go. So you can see that those eave lines extend out more than a standard 8-inch soffit. They have crown molding under them, so they are extended.
Yeah, as my colleague just pulled up, they've just pulled up the thing, and it's 1.5 feet from the wall below, not the edge of the eave, so.
Meaning it's sufficient in inches for distance, is that what you're getting?
Yeah, like right now it's cold planar with the wall below,
Right,
where it's supposed to be back like 1.5 feet.
yeah.
But,
Which I understand in a house this size,
Every inch
it's
counts.
like a total of 3 feet if you're talking both sides, so.
Well, we can either entertain a motion to, to either pass or not, to remove the demolition delay, or we can ask if they come back with at least the updates that we've talked about. Anyone have any?
Well,
strong
so
opinions?
what are we looking for updates then? What are we excited for?
Well, I think that line through the,
That's run, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I don't know if anybody else, I still would like,
Let's see.
Meaning removal of it is what is that what you're referring to? Okay.
I'll tell you what, I have an idea for a motion, I'll make that, and it could either be seconded if other people feel it's worthwhile, or an alternate motion can be made. My motion would be that to approve the plans with the 2 alterations. One is forget the trim board altogether, because it's just illogically, it just doesn't work out.
Right.
Architecturally or historically or anything. And B, set back that face wall of the dorm is at least 6 more inches, so it's at least not, so it doesn't look like a 2-story house with a weird roof on it.
So this setback
Yeah,
here,
that
another
one.
6 inches?
Yeah, that way they still have you know, they're only losing a foot of square footage, you know, there. So anyway, that would be my suggestion, put this way, for me personally, that would make it at least a reasonable compromise, but,
Without moving the end in from the.
yeah, the ends don't bother me, because actually, it's like many feet in the front. And 18 inches in the back, that, you know, it's,
Yeah,
that part's okay
I would second
for
that.
me. Yeah, that's okay.
all right. Well, sounds like we have a motion then.
Did you go look at that too?
So the motion will be to approve the demolition plans. How do you want to say that?
Well, with two alterations, one,
With the,
no trim board. So even despite it was our suggestion, and move the face walls of the dormers in 6 inches each. So they're not coplanar with the wall above.
and Glenn, you made that, who?
Yeah, I think so.
Alan did, okay.
Seconded it.
All right, so the motion is to approve the demolition plans with the alteration of the removal of the trim board and moving the face walls of the dormers 6 inches back. So for the structure at 13 Union Street, which would, and then also lifting the demo delay. That's, let's see. So start with Andrew.
Yes.
Mark Sandro. He's absent, sorry. Scott Clark,
Yes. Yes.
Chris Fay,
I think I would stay because I wasn't last time.
Okay. Alan Marquis,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Chris Hotel.
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Oops, there we go. So that motion passes, so as long as you can make those alterations, then let's consider it approved.
So would I just submit that to you, Andrew, for?
Actually, what'll happen here is there'll be a certificate that's issued, from the commission that will reflect the vote tonight. And then the revised plans actually need to be submitted through the office, the Open Gov portal. The zoning administrator will verify that they comply with this vote here, and that way you can go right to your permit process from there.
We have one more, going to the ZBA.
Right, yeah, sorry, with that in mind, yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
Right.
Will be a technical term in the statement.
Absolutely.
Bruce.
Will be.
Yeah. It's all back to three times.
Vernacularly goofy. Maybe. All right, we have a couple of correspondence, both. Are both from, they're not from the same organization, are they? They're separate, okay, but they're both.
Both telecommunications at the same time,
And
yeah.
aren't they both Verizon too?
I believe so.
That's so crazy. So I think basically are they just looking for a letter of recommendation? That's what
Yeah, generically speaking, these happen periodically. You'll see these in typically, there are installations that are already, then like how this is already in the facility, there's already been some discussion previously about the impact of the historic structure. Generically speaking, the expectation is if you're seeing things that are external to the building, the internal things not being an issue presumably, right? The external things that are visible are those of any concern to the commission for any reason, anything they're showing in the drawings. If so, we'd want to communicate that, with a letter back so that that's reflected in their review of the change, for their process. Otherwise, something, either you have no comment, nothing's received, or you could say, we're good with the plans as they are.
Yeah, but usually the easy way of thinking of it is, they're looking to see if we consider there's any quote adverse impact.
Right.
Sure.
We think
Is there
that,
anything in the
From
plan
a-
that is adverse? Yeah.
From a procedural standpoint, do we need motions on those for me to write something or?
Just for the purposes of you, reflecting anything that the body, and something that the body has voted, yes. So,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, we'll do them separately, so 14 Titcomb is, that's the,
Central Church.
there's the church and then there's the school is the other one, right?
Used to be a school, yeah,
Yeah.
it's another professional building there in Forester. And so there's no one here from the companies to discuss this, I take it.
Yeah, so, online, Gary, are you with us?
Yes, yes, sir. Garrett Conroy with Centerline Communications, who's been authorized agent for T-Mobile. This is for T-Mobile, just to be clear, not Verizon.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sorry,
Sorry
when you asked the question.
No problem.
By the way, obviously, we have your drawings up, so if you want to speak to either of these drawing sheets, obviously, I think I'll defer to the chair and the commission, but I think the primary concerns would be things that are visible, from the historic preservation perspective. So if you want to speak to any of that, that way the commission can follow up one way or the other about, any input that if any it has.
And
Yeah.
you involved with both projects?
No, just this one.
Titcom.
Yep.
Okay.
And so right off the bat, there is not going to be any external changes to the church with this proposed project. The general scope of work is that we're replacing 3 existing antennas that are inside the steeple with 3 new antennas. We're removing 6 small radios in the steeple with 6 new radios. We're keeping the cabling intact, and then inside the equipment room, which is also inside the building, we're removing 3 cabinets, replacing them with 1 new cabinet, and we're installing 5 new radio units inside the equipment room. That's the scope of the work. That's the full scope of the work. And again, nothing to change the exterior of the church.
Okay, this is Glenn Richards. The only question I had, since I saw on the plans, there wasn't anything external, so that's fine, was just wondering about, since it is an old building, this, has anyone considered, the impact in terms of weight of the equipment structurally and all that? Any anticipated change there, or presumably someone's checked that?
Yep, we have a full structural analysis that was done, passing, no changes needed to the mounts or anything in the ground in the equipment room as well. So full structural analysis was performed and no issues were found.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, anyone have any questions on it?
Assuming the antennas are the same size, the radios are the same size, it's not like you're replacing the antennas, but they're not larger or anything else, but.
I think they are a
The
little
main
different.
question is whether it's outside, right? Because you wouldn't see them maybe if they're.
Yeah, once they're outside, there's the stuff that's outside.
Yeah, none of it's outside.
But they're replacing the.
Yeah, on the illustration we're looking at, looks like page A4, if I'm not mistaken. Way up, halfway up the steeple, it looks like there's antennas on the outside. Is that just the way it's drawn or what?
That's just the way it's drawn so that you can see where the antennas are, but those are all internal.
Okay.
Oh,
It's like a cutaway view, right?
Yeah, exactly.
X-ray.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think, I'm not seeing anything, that would make us, feel strongly that this shouldn't happen. So if anyone has a motion for me to write a letter of approval for 14
Would
Titcomb.
move that the commission finds no adverse impact from the proposed changes.
All right, thank you. Glenn.
I'll second that again.
All right,
Let's see.
Well, the same as we said all the time. We'll talk.
okay, so, motion to approve the letter about 14 Titcomb. Andrew,
Yes.
Scott Clark,
Yes.
Alan Marquis,
Yes.
Glenn Richards,
Yes,
Chris Sawtell,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well, so the motion passes.
you missed Chris.
Oh, I did? Hey, how did I miss Chris? Sorry,
I'll say yes.
yes, thank you.
Sorry, who seconded that motion?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you, sir. All right, do we have anybody from 37 and 1/2? It's strange that that whole
Yeah.
building is 1/2.
Yeah, Caitlin did not,
I have to be.
what was the note? I feel like there was a notation about that one being carried for the next, I can't recall from Caitlin, but, there's not a presenter tonight for that one, but for some reason I thought there was gonna be a discussion of this at the following meeting, she had mentioned, I thought.
So should we
All that.
postpone this one then? So next,
I thought that she had mentioned, I'd have to go back to the emails, but I thought she had mentioned to us that they were maybe expecting to carry this, at the next meeting, was there, if I'm not mistaken?
I didn't see that note, but, I mean, if there's nobody here,
There's anybody to present it, and again, it's the same basic question for you, in terms of impact, adverse impact, is there any adverse impact?
yeah,
Um,
this one, I'm a little, I wish someone was here, cause I would like.
it's just a
to-
little hard to determine on
It is.
this one, whether it's inside, right?
And it wasn't, right, it wasn't totally clear how much was
So
changing.
perhaps,
some of this.
perhaps we need to just make sure that they are at the next meeting, to clarify,
Yeah.
and know that.
Yeah.
I know, I prefer that.
All right, well,
It does say in the staff notes that they'll present at an upcoming meeting.
Yeah, that was my recollection, so
Oh,
I
okay.
can't recall why it's still listed here on this agenda, but in either case, it came in as a communication, so it's probably.
All right. we'll strike that until they can appear, I guess. All right, well, moving on, then I guess, we can go for approval of the minutes from 2 weeks ago. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes of 9/11/2025?
I make a motion to approve the minutes. I think there's only 3 of us that were
Oh.
here the last.
Yeah,
Do you want
is
to
that
carry it
right?
to the next agenda? And
Yeah, let's carry that
There's
one
only
as
three of us
well.
tonight That were there, that were here last.
Yeah.
night. Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, because we only had,
I think.
I think we only had 4, right?
Yeah,
5?
We just had,
Yeah.
it was Mark support.
Okay, so with no approval for that, well, I have no updates,
No, just apologies, I think we had intended, to have just circling back on the regulatory, comments about any tweaks there, but unfortunately, I got missed a little bit, and Chuck was, someone was out of the office, calendar posting, and whatnot, so a little bit of confusion there, sorry on our part, but we'll have it on the next agenda, so we can circle back, and then we can sort of say, do we have sort of take it from there, do we have a complete package of tweaks that we want to make, send that to the council, there might be something else that's brought up, but that would just mobilize that piece of it, so.
and when would we expect to, if we were gonna put something together, that would be like a change in the ordinances, when would we want?
Yeah, actually, I should elaborate on that, I'm glad you asked the question, so just because of the timing is a little awkward, only because, even though we have a couple of months till the end of the calendar year, the council doesn't actually have that many meetings based on how far they're spaced out.
Right.
And we have that same consideration of the planning board has to have a zoning hearing for an amendment that's being expected to be brought forward as well. So there's limited opportunity in that timeframe, and it also, if for any reason that process isn't closed and there's continued debate about it for any reason, then you're having a question about whether the thing is carried over the next session or whether we start over again. So one question that you may want to contemplate, and it may have some benefits, is that we prepare the amendment and we possibly talk about the sponsors that are on the council now, or line up for, either those councilors or councilors on the new session, only so that we don't have, we've made an effort one way or the other, and then we're having to deal with the end of the year thing that the council has as a problem when it's just mechanical.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm curious, because we're gonna have quite a turnover.
Yeah, I just think it might be easier just as a process, if nobody's, bothered by the fact that, because it's not really gonna, the timeframe we're gonna affect by this year is very short anyway, so if we're getting it passed, right? So it might make more sense for us to introduce it, if you will, in the first council packet of the new year, and try to do it then, only because of the logistics of trying to get it done between now and the end of the calendar year. Just, it's feasible, but it's just one of those things that like committee processes take a while, and referrals and, and so.
If the election is in November, but when do the new members actually when does the council actually change?
It's January, yeah, and so like we could introduce something in there, but then it's gonna go to committee, but because like if we were to introduce something in October, I think it's the 7th or whatever, that first meeting. Goes to committee, we have the discussion, we're assuming everybody's on the same page about any tweaks, and it just comes right back to the very next council meeting. If it doesn't, we're on the next one. There's only a few before the end of the calendar year, so it's, they actually spaced out their meetings this year, I think, a little further than they had previous years, so there's actually less meetings that, still work with.
So we might wanna,
They end in December, I think it's the first week of December.
we might want to independently find out who we're voting for and what they, how they feel.
Did you include Andy you had a really good summary of the various suggestions that we've fed to you?
Yeah,
So did you get that?
Copied me on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you get
Unless there's
an
something
idea
new.
what we're thinking about?
Okay, yeah, unless there's something newer, because I appreciate that, because it's helpful to me to consolidate,
I had sort of
Yeah.
consolidated a little bit even more for our meeting last time.
Yeah.
I can send you that.
Is that
list.
circular?
Oh, yeah, no, if I have it, that's great. I'm just saying if there's anything new, that's great. But if you've
Well,
already,
what I basically done is I had like, I think you got the full list of like all, like
Yeah.
spaghetti on the wall.
yeah,
And I took
So,
the stuff that stuck
yeah.
and made a
And
small,
maybe that, yeah,
so
okay,
I'll share that with you.
thank you.
I just got a question here.
Has this been circulated, the list?
I had circulated some of it, but our last meeting, I brought it up, so.
I think what we could do, we could just discuss that list in the next meeting, right? We
Yeah.
would have that as, you know, before we can work with Caitlin, we'll have that ready with the next meeting, you discuss it right then.
Yeah.
It's like that, I was sort of, looks a good summary of where we stood at
All right,
that point in time.
well, I take a motion to adjourn.
You would,
Yeah,
I'll be happy to make one.
okay, you're the,
I'll second it.
well, you guys are the team.
Wow, we're cooking.
All right, all in favor of adjournment? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Not in favor? All right, meeting's adjourned, thank you.
One day,